Hi, I'm Lee Terry from The Middle Ground. TMG is an online video think tank where ordinary people submit their own videos with nonpartisan ideas to try to make the world a better place. We're trying to get something done about the paralysis in government and address the real problems we're facing today. This is another one of our Get the Conversation Started videos. In these videos, we're throwing out an interesting idea that we've read or heard about from others. It's not an official position of the Middle Ground. We don't endorse or support any particular proposals or ideas, and we never support or endorse politicians or political parties. This is just an icebreaker, something to get everyone thinking and hopefully working on their own videos with better or improved ideas that they can submit to TMG for posting on our YouTube channel. So, a big problem nowadays that everyone's talking about, and is probably worse than it's ever been, is economic inequality in the United States. It's getting worse and worse. Studies show that economic inequality is a bad thing for everybody, rich and poor alike. There are some really interesting TED Talks on the incredible range of negative effects from economic inequality on our society. One particularly by Richard Wilkinson you might want to catch. It's pretty staggering, and we've known about the problem for a long time, but we're not seem to be doing much. So while everybody seems to agree that it's not a good thing, they aren't really doing very much about it. It's kind of like the weather. Everyone talks about it, but nobody ever does anything about it. One obvious source of economic inequality is wages and salaries. Employers' incentives are naturally to hire fewer workers and pay the ones they do hire as little as possible. That's not immoral or wrongful. It's just common sense. On the other hand, employees want to earn the most money they can for the least work, or at least the work that is most easily achievable. Makes perfect sense too. Unfortunately, employers have a lot of disincentives besides keeping wages low. There are lots of laws protecting workers, like anti-discrimination and wrongful discharge laws, unemployment compensation, health insurance requirements, pension regulations, minimum wage, overtime pay, working conditions like OSHA, and collective bargaining rights. It's a long list of extra expenses that an employer might have to bear. This idea is about making minimum wage laws local rather than national or even statewide. The low national or statewide minimum wage rates can result in wages that don't cover rent in expensive urban areas, or that frankly are more than the market would bear in rural areas where it's less expensive. Federal or state law could require that every metropolitan area with a population greater than, say, 100,000 sets its own minimum wage once every several years by a public process, requiring public notice and active citizen participation. The standard for setting the local minimum wage would be a wage sufficient to provide a worker with food, housing, health care, and other basic necessities in that local jurisdiction, with the local government certifying to the government, federal or state, that it has made such a determination or has obtained a popular vote in favor of the selected minimum. I like the popular vote idea, actually. When times get tough, local communities might be allowed to lower their minimum wage and lock it in for a period of time to encourage continued employment and even attract new employers. Another idea might be to permit localities to temporarily waive some employment regulations. Employers often claim that the risk of getting an EEOC complaint when you have minority workers discourage them from hiring minority workers. They say that the risk of workers unionizing is too great. They also say that mandatory health care for every employee makes them too expensive. Employees want all these things, but they want a job more. Localities with high unemployment should be allowed to waive rules for small employers who hire new employees for up to a year and in some cases gradually phase in compliance. We could also untangle mandatory overtime pay. Overtime rules could apply to everyone paid less than $75,000 per year, irrespective of their manager status or exempt status, or salaried versus hourly. In other words, if your base salary or hourly wage comes out to less than that amount, then you are paid time and a half whenever you work more than 40 hours per week. We'd get rid of this whole idea of no one gets extra hours if they're not an hourly employee. So these ideas might be good ideas. They might be bad ideas. They might be impractical. They might be too expensive. But that's not the point. The idea of talking about them is to get you to start thinking about the problem and then send in your own moderate, balanced, nonpartisan ideas to address the serious problem of economic inequality. Become a TMG tuber by sending in your own videos, or if you are camera shy, become a TMG screenwriter by sending in your video script for us to film. Or of course, you can always help by sending us a tax-deductible donation by clicking on the donate button on our YouTube page or on our website. We are all the middle ground.